Hello and welcome to episode of the Bubbs on Sports podcast. Today is Friday, May 26th. Hope everyone's having a day so far and had a good rest of their day yesterday. It is in fact Friday, May 26th here today. We've got a lot to get into here on a Friday program. We'll be talking all things football, get into a little bit of basketball as well later on as the Celtics win Game 5 at TD Garden in Boston, force a Game 6 in Miami. And if they win tomorrow night in Miami, you get a Game 7, the two best words in all of sports, back in Boston. Celtics Heat Game 7. Just when it seemed like the Celtics were completely out of it, they've now crawled all the way back, and they're right back in this series, one game away from forcing a Game 7 back at home. So we'll get into that a little later on. We'll also talk a little bit of the Jets and the poor media narrative surrounding the Jets to start today, and kind of put some facts out there, I guess I should say, to a lot of people, to really the media, mainly the media, that continues to not quite understand and continues to bash this Jets team. And I'm not going to vent, I don't want to rant, but I'm going to put some facts out there and kind of go against what a lot of the media has been telling us in this false narrative around this New York Jets team, especially around quarterback Aaron Rodgers, obviously our big offseason acquisition. So we'll get into that here as well. We'll also talk some Yankees and Mets. Really tough loss last night for the Yankees. I mean, you have the terrible loss on Wednesday where you blow the game. You know, you're up 5-1. Nestor allows a 3-run shot. You lose that game. And you have an opportunity last night to take care of business where you have Clark Schmidt on the mound. Again, not a guy that has been very good this year. Went into the game last night with an even 6 ERA. Did his job. Allowed one run over 5 innings. It's Clark Schmidt. He kind of did what I think a lot of Yankee fans asked. Like, if you would have told me going into the game, Clark Schmidt gives us 5 innings, 1 run, I would have been perfectly okay with it. He probably could have gave you another inning if there wasn't some of those errors and some of those blunders in the infield. I know Anthony Volpe in the first inning obviously, had one go off his glove trying to field a grounder. They ruled it as a single, but still, if he fields that grounder, Clark's probably out of there with 12 pitches as opposed to, I think he threw 29 in the first inning. So he did his job. Yankees bats weren't alive. They didn't do anything. They didn't do anything until the bottom of the ninth where Willie Calhoun comes up and drives Aaron Judge in with a double. And then Volpe obviously lined out to center, got a good piece on it. Was just, right to McKenna in center field. And the Yankees lose the series after such a great win on Tuesday night where you come back, you get the walk-off, all that great stuff. You sweep Cincinnati, you get a day off, you extend your win streak to 5 games. The last 2 days have been really, I don't know if I want to say humbling as a Yankee fan, but they've really just been frustrating because 2 games that you probably should have won. You should have definitely won Wednesday. Last night, the bats weren't alive, but Clark Schmidt, who's been your worst starter this year, gave you a quality outing. You got to go out there and capitalize. So a tough loss for the Yankees. They'll look to bounce back. They open up a 3-game set here against San Diego to close out this 6-game homestand. And then they'll head out west. They get 3 in Seattle and 3 against the Dodgers next weekend, which will close out with Sunday Night Baseball. So the Yankees hopefully get back on track with a Padres team that just took 2 or 3 against the Nationals, but still a team that has been one of the biggest disappointments in all of baseball so far. Mets did salvage the final game of their series. They will open up a 3-game set today in Denver, Colorado against the Rockies before heading back home after this 6-game road trip that they are currently on. So we'll start off today talking a little Jets, as you all know. And again, we'll get to the Celtics a little later on. We'll get to the Mets and the Yankees and both those games tonight, preview what's going on. Randy Vasquez will take the mound tonight for the New York Yankees, facing up against Joe Musgrove, who has not been good at all this year for the Padres. Not much has gone right for the Padres this year. Their pitching, surprisingly, has been pretty good. Not surprisingly, it's been pretty good, especially led by Yu Darvish. But their bats have been silent. Machado's on the IL, which doesn't help. It's been an ugly year for the Padres so far. Yankees got to take advantage of them this weekend, finding what you got to at least take 2 or 3. You have to. You got a young guy going today. We'll see how long he goes. Randy Vasquez. The bullpen's been used a lot. We'll see, but we'll get into all that later on. But I want to start off today talking Jets here. As we continue to roll on here, it's May 26th here today. We're hitting Memorial Day weekend, which is obviously the kind of the kickoff to summer. It's a great time of year, Memorial Day weekends here. You got baseball on. You got the kickoff to summer, all the beaches, get back down to the beaches, all that stuff. So it's great. It's a great time of year as summer really starts to open up. And obviously with the big trade acquisition of Aaron Rodgers in the offseason, you got the draft now done. You're now in the middle of OTAs. And here comes all of the media narrative around the New York Jets. And it all started a couple days ago when Aaron Rodgers tweaked his calf at practice. And everybody in the NFL world, all the media, the New York Daily News, posting their back cover of their newspaper the next day said, same old misery or whatever it was. Or it was three guys with a paper bag on their head and said something, or here for the misery or something like that. And it said, the Jets are back to being the Jets as Aaron Rodgers gets hurt or tweaks his calf at OTAs. It was such a minor injury. He made a decision himself to take a rest day. He could have went out there and continued to practice. But remember, people, it's May. The injury happened, not even an injury, it was a tweak of a calf muscle on May 23rd. It isn't August. It's not September. We're not a couple days away from the Super Bowl. This is May. We're just starting the offseason workouts. And you've already got the media crushing the New York Jets for no reason. I think a lot of it, to be honest with you, I think a lot of it's jealousy. I think a lot of it's the Jets can't be crushed on anymore because the Jets for years now, and I'll go back to the offseason. For years now, the New York Jets have been the bottom of the barrel NFL team. They've been the laughingstock every year. When the power rankings come out before week 1, the Jets were always 29, we're always 30th. It's always, Jets, they have some young pieces. We'll see what every year it's the same garbage with this team. It's been the same garbage for 12 years now, the longest active drought in the 4 major sports, right? Since getting their back-to-back years with Sanchez and Rex Ryan. Since then, it's been misery. And you go into this offseason, and you remember when all the media, all of the hype, and all the people out there saying, the New York Jets have to go get Aaron Rodgers. It would be a same old Jets move to go out and settle for option 2 or option B, whatever you want to call it, Derek Carr, than getting option 1 in Aaron Rodgers. Everybody said it. If the Jets settle for Derek Carr, it's the same old Jets. They miss out on a Hall of Fame quarterback. They go get a guy that's good but not great enough to get you to the promised land, and that's all. Get a guy that has minimal playoff experience, not much success at all in his minimal playoff experience, all that stuff. So the Jets don't get Derek Carr. They go out and get Aaron Rodgers, and here you still have people saying it's the same old Jets. He's 39 years old. He's already getting hurt at OTAs. He's injury prone. Let me ask you this question. Aaron Rodgers, I want to ask you this. For those media people out there, and for the fans out there saying, Aaron Rodgers is injury prone, please explain to me how Aaron Rodgers is injury prone. I want to know. I want to know how he's injury prone. Aaron Rodgers has missed one game in the last 5 years. How is he injury prone? Injuries are a part of the game. Zach Wilson last year tore his meniscus. Zach Wilson's not 39. Welcome to the NFL. Injuries are a part of the game. Criticizing the Jets because Aaron Rodgers tweaked his calf at practice and saying it's the same old Jets makes zero sense. I can guarantee you this. I'll tell you this. If any other quarterback in the NFL tweaked their calf at practice, it wouldn't get nearly the same coverage. The media hates Rodgers, rightfully so. But let's be honest here. It's so clear that this narrative, this terrible narrative, it's all false, it's all fake, and you have all these people believing it. It's all, everybody around the NFL is believing it. Aaron Rodgers is already hurt. Here comes the Daily News. And I'll tell you this, the Daily News, to be honest, that garbage that they're posting about the whole, putting the paper bags on Jets, it's just ridiculous. It really is ridiculous. This Jet team is good. They're legit. They're a legit contender. And I know when you look at my studio and you see the Jets sign there and the Jets sign right there, you're saying, biased, of course. And you know how I've been. I've been very critical. There hasn't been much to root about. But you don't have to know much about football to know who Aaron Rodgers is. You don't have to know much about football to know what Aaron Rodgers can do for an organization. He's already won a Super Bowl. He played last year with a broken thumb, and he was still 7th in the NFL in touchdowns. He was 11th in yards. He was still a top 10 quarterback last year with a broken thumb. I mean, come on now. He's won 2 MVPs in the last 3 years. So the people out there that say, oh, he's 39 years old, the age is getting to him. How is the age getting to him when he's won 2 MVPs in the last 3 years in his upper 30s? It's not like the last time he won an MVP was when he was 28. He's won an MVP at 37 and 38, I guess. Yeah, well, he turned 30. He'll turn 40 in December. So I don't know how. I guess 30. The 2020 COVID the COVID season with no fans was the year he won back-to-back MVPs. So I guess he was 36 that year, turned 37 December of that season. And then 2021 he was 37, turned 38. This past year was 38, turned 39. So from 36 to now, he's won 2 MVPs in the last 3 years. How is he washed? How is he old? How is he washed if he finished 7th in the NFL last year in touchdown passes? How is he washed? How is he washed if he won 2 MVPs in the last 3 seasons? Aaron Rodgers really has kind of proved, Brady as well, and I'm not trying to compare the two, that age at times can just be a number. And again, there is a risk there. You know, I always say this. There's always a risk with a guy who hasn't shown any signs of slowing down and then just drops off. There is always that risk. But to this point right now, one day tweaking his calf, the injury prone, people saying, oh, Aaron Rodgers is injury prone. How is he injury prone? He's washed. How is he washed when he's been a top 5, top 3 quarterback the last 3 seasons? Explain to me how he's washed. He's got way more weapons with the New York Jets than he had last year with the Green Bay Packers. He's got the reigning offensive rookie of the year in Garrett Wilson. He adds a guy that he had in Green Bay in Allen Lazard, who was his best target. He has Breece Hall. You have a ton of tight ends. You've got a very young and explosive running back room led by Breece Hall. You got Izzy, who they drafted in the draft. You've got Michael Carter. You've got Bam Knight. A lot of guys that are explosive both in the run game and the pass game. You had a speed in the slot with McCole Hardman who can do a whole lot of everything. Everybody talks about Braxton Berrios. McCole Hardman is a more faster, better receiver version of Braxton Berrios. McCole Hardman is a better version of Braxton Berrios. That's what he is. So you're upgrading there. You have a tight end room that you expect will get better with C.J. Uzomah, Tyler Conklin. You also drafted Zach Kuntz, and you also have Jeremy Rucker, who was really utilized as a redshirt year last year. But don't forget, he was really the second best tight end in the draft 2 years ago coming out of Ohio State. You have an offensive line that you're still kind of figuring out where all the pieces fit, but when the best 5 guys are healthy, is a very good offensive line. If Becton's healthy and he's out there, we all know what he can do. You look at AVT, who's coming back healthy. Remember, people, the New York Jets last year were 5-2 prior to the Breece Hall and AVT injuries. They went down and the team wasn't the same. You want to know why? Because they didn't have a quarterback, and they were still in the division race. They were 6-3 after beating the Buffalo Bills with Zach Wilson. There's no reason why the Jets can't win the division, can't be right back in a division race with Aaron Rodgers. Zach Wilson was the worst quarterback in the NFL last year. He has been as bad as the guys of Jamarcus Russell and Ryan Leaf territory. That's how bad Zach Wilson's been over his first 2 NFL seasons. And the Jets last year were still in the playoff hunt week 17. They were. They got eliminated the last week of the year. Well, second to last week, because they went into week 18 eliminated. You put Aaron Rodgers on last year's Jets teams, they're making a deep run. You put him on a team again this year with their defense, you expect this team to make a deep run. I don't get this notion because Aaron Rodgers got hurt he didn't even get hurt. He tweaked his calf. Oh, Aaron Rodgers tweaked his calf. You see the headline on ESPN, Aaron Rodgers gets hurt. They don't say tweaked his calf. They don't say what it gets hurt. So all these other fans across the league, Aaron Rodgers tweaks his calf. All right. Or they see he gets hurt and they're like, oh, look, Aaron Rodgers getting hurt already. Same old Jets. It makes no sense. You look at the talent he's got around him. Again, you look at this defense. You've got Sauce Gardner, reigning defensive rookie of the year. You have a top 3 1-2 punch at corner. DJ Reed and Sauce Gardner are, you can make the strong argument that they are the best cornerback tandem in the NFL. You can. I mean, they statistically last year were up towards the top, and you watched them play, they were dominant. I mean, Sauce Gardner won defensive rookie of the year. That's all you need to know about him. You know, once they get the Quinnen Williams contract done, over with or figured out, you got Mosley obviously there. My biggest issue has been the safety spot, but there's a lot of talent. This team they were the 4th-ranked defense in the NFL last year. You add Aaron Rodgers on the offensive side of the ball with all these weapons around him, it's going to be an exciting season. It really is, and I'm looking forward to it, and it's going to be awesome. But it's just so frustrating that this notion, and again, there's still people out there like, oh, Aaron Rodgers is old, he's not good anymore. The Jets are going to finish in 3rd place. Okay, so again, anything can happen over the course of an NFL season, but if Aaron Rodgers is healthy for 17 games and plays up to his ability, explain to me how Tua or Mac Jones is going to outplay Aaron Rodgers. Explain that to me. How is that going to happen? Zach Wilson beat Josh Allen last year. Aaron Rodgers can beat Josh Allen. Aaron Rodgers can beat Lamar Jackson. He can beat Dak Prescott. He's done it before. He's crushed the Cowboys. It's another thing, too. The Jets have a gauntlet of a schedule the first 6 weeks. What? Yeah, there's good teams, but the Jets are a good team. New England has the worst. Mac Jones is one of the worst quarterbacks in the AFC. Let's be honest here. And the weapons around him aren't any good. That's just the bottom line when it comes to New England, right? So, Mac Jones isn't any good. They get him week 3. The Bills are beatable. I mean, the Bills are very good. It's going to be the Jets and the Bills, I think, competing for first place in the AFC East. I really do. I think that's going to be an excellent matchup week 1. I think it's going to be an excellent matchup the next time they face each other, which I think is week 9 or 10-ish. I think it's like 8-9 weeks later. The Jets are going to be fine with the Bills, but, and they're going to obviously have a matchup too against Kansas City. But to say, it's funny because all the narrative too, everybody always hates the Cowboys. Everyone's like, oh, the Cowboys are entering into a year, or Cowboys are, they've done nothing in the offseason, not going anywhere. Another first round, another early exit in the postseason. Then you see people say, oh, now the Jets have to play the Cowboys. It's like, oh, the Cowboys, they're this insane team. When a week later, the same person was talking trash about the Cowboys. Now, a week after that, Jets got a tough matchup against the Cowboys. Aaron Rodgers' history against the Cowboys. He's dominated them. He's worked magic against them. He has crushed Cowboys fans' soul. From going into their first year with Dak Prescott and and Zeke beating them in Dallas, from a couple years prior to the whole Dez Bryant catch that wasn't a catch that many people still think is a catch. The Packers beat them there in the divisional round with Tony Romo and Dez Bryant. Aaron Rodgers has crushed crushed Cowboys fans over the years. There's no excuse why he can't do it again. And the talent around him again is a big deal. So, that's all I want to get into. And something else, too. So, I saw this stat the other day, and I can guarantee you this. So, these are the most turnovers in one-score games in the last 3 years. So, Josh Allen leads the group with 36 turnovers in one-score games. Herbert with 30, Derek Carr with 29, Prescott with 28. So, number one is, I bet you if the Jets got Derek Carr, this would be the stat everybody's hammering. Oh, Jets are going to be in close games this year. Look at Derek Carr. He can't win close games. I guarantee you that would be probably the stat every media outlet right now would be crushing. I bet you. Nobody mentioned, again, it's one-score games. It's kind of not that it's a nitpicky stat, but it's one of those stats that you got to dig for, right? I mean, not many people talk about, oh, this guy's got most turnovers in one-score games. We're not talking about a main touchdown or stat right there, but it is interesting. I guarantee you that if the Jets, and that's one thing too, the Jets are going to be in a lot of close games this year. One thing that Aaron Rodgers has done very well in close games. He wins those close games. He has. Aaron Rodgers is clutch. He's a very clutch quarterback. And you can't deny that. Look at the numbers. Look at the numbers. The stats don't lie. And you all know at first I was very critical of trying to bring in Aaron Rodgers. And I'll tell you where it changed for me is when he's starting to show up to OTAs, or he's been to OTAs, not starting to. He's been to OTAs for the first time in 4 years, which nobody will talk about because that's something that's good about Aaron Rodgers. Nobody will talk about that positive because they want to spread all the negative, but that is what it is. At the end of the day, I think, as Jets fans, and I've come to this reality too, you just got to get used to it. And maybe that's why I'm frustrated because we haven't gotten this, but to me, I don't see other people, and rightfully so, you're not going to see the media crush Patrick Mahomes. He's dominant. But you look at some of these other teams, Cowboys get a lot of hate, rightfully, with their playoff failures, not winning a championship in so long, and every year saying that they're going to win it all and never coming through. I get, they do get a lot of hate, but, the Jets are definitely up there. And they're going to be front and center this year all year long. So you got to get used to it. And at the end of the day, I can sit here all I want and blab on and on and on and on. I could. And those who are watching this podcast right now might be saying I'm a crazy Jets fan that has no clue what I'm talking about. Those could be saying, you're right. It is what everyone's got their opinion. That's the beauty of sports. That's why I love doing this. Everyone's got their opinions. Everyone, it's great to have debates on sports, all that good stuff. It's awesome. But, in terms of, we're going to be front center this year, and I could sit here all this time again talking about all this stuff. At the end of the day, all that matters, though, is the wins and losses on the field. It's a business. At the end of the day, it's wins and losses. Another comparison, too, that has been brought up. Aaron Rodgers is going to be similar to, this has been brought up, too, by the media. Aaron Rodgers and the Jets are going to be the Broncos 2.0. How does that line up? I want to know, how does that line up? Number one, Russell Wilson's numbers prior to going to Denver have been on a downfall spiral the last 2 seasons. His numbers have declined. Aaron Rodgers won an MVP 2 of his last 3 years. So how is he on a downward spiral? Unlike Russell Wilson was. Also, the Broncos had to give up an arm and a leg to get Russell Wilson. The Jets swapped first-round picks. They got Aaron Rodgers. They gave up, a second and a fourth, and in next year's first, that could potentially become a first if Aaron Rodgers plays 65% of plays, which, if it's a successful season for the Jets, it's going to be a late first, and the Jets won't really need it. So how does that line up, too? And in terms of coaching, we have Hackett on our staff. Hackett's a lot better of an offense coordinator. He took Blake Bortles to the AFC Championship game. There are guys in the NFL. Todd Bowles is a great example. Good coach, not a good coordinator. Or good coordinator, not a good coach. I apologize. Hackett's a good coordinator, not a good coach. It happens. There's a lot of guys. There's tons of guys out there that are like that. Really good coordinators, they just can't coach. Or they're not good with the head. It is what it is. Todd Bowles will work wonders on a defense. You put him at head coach, not very good. Seen how it went down with the Jets. You saw how it went down with the Buccaneers so far. It's only going to get worse because Brady's gone now, right? But again, instead of, the media compares the Jets to the Broncos instead of comparing them to when Brady went to Tampa or when Stafford went to L.A. I know that's a little bit of a different situation. Well, it's the same situation. I know with Brady, it's same situation. Stafford in L.A. winning a Super Bowl his first year there. Brady winning a Super Bowl his first year in Tampa. But instead, the media has got to compare Aaron Rodgers to the Broncos 2.0. And Aaron Rodgers has a whole lot more talent around him with the Jets than Wilson does with the Broncos. I know he's got Sutton and Judy, but I would take a tandem of Garrett Wilson, Breece Hall, and Allen Lazard over that. But personally. They also gave him Noah Fant in that deal, who was one of the Broncos' better weapons. They gave him up. The Jets didn't give up any players. A lot of people thought the Jets would have to give up, maybe a Corey Davis or potentially Elijah Moore, who they ended up trading anyway because he was a head case, and you needed to get rid of him. But, I don't know. It's frustrating. I don't like to get dragged into this stuff too much, but it's just frustrating. It's clear that they're using A lot of people are using the word clickbait. They're clickbaiting stuff. They're saying all this trash about the Jets, making it seem like really what the media is doing is making it seem like the Aaron Rodgers experience so far has been dreadful. And it's been the complete 180 of that. The Aaron Rodgers experience so far has been amazing. He's been building communication with the players. He's active in the meetings. He's at OTAs again for the first time in 4 years. I mean, again, I know it's off the field stuff, but he's going to the games with guys. He's building chemistry with guys. A lot of us thought when Aaron Rodgers was traded here, many of us thought, and he's fully committed. He's talked about him, and he even mentioned yesterday with Adam Shine. He did an interview with Rodgers about, he's watched a documentary on the 86 Mets and how hungry Mets fans are for a championship, and seeing the Jets Super Bowl trophy, from Super Bowl III. He's coming here strictly to win a championship, and he's mentioned that many times. And I understand it's all talk, and at the end of the day, you got to go out there and prove it. But I think a lot of us, including myself, thought Rodgers would come in here, do his introductory press conference, and he wouldn't be seen again until July, until training camp starts. That hasn't been the case. He's been so active. He's been with the guys, putting in extra work outside of the facility as well with the guys. There's a lot to like so far. And the media is portraying it as the Aaron Rodgers experience, especially the daily news cover, has been dreadful, and it's been amazing so far. I mean, the impact of him has already been felt before we've even played a single preseason game, let alone a regular season game. So, just wanted to get that kind of off my chest. A lot of people have talked about, again, I know it's hard. I know it's hard to vision the Jets being good. Believe me, I've had to kind of smack myself in the face sometimes, too, to be like, wow, we're legit contenders. Because, again, for years now, the Jets have been bad. But that's not the case anymore. This team's a legit threat. And, I think Saleh said a couple days ago, people were talking about, what's like every year you go into it, and you always have like those legit contenders, those outside contenders. Then you got the playoff, like the outside contenders. You got your Super Bowl threats, like your Super Bowl contenders. And it usually consists of, like, you always think of like 6 to 8 teams that can legitimately win a Super Bowl. And the Jets are in that list this year. If you know anything about football, the Jets are in that list. You look at the 6 to 8 teams, okay? Most of them are from the AFC because the AFC's stacked. But it's the Chiefs, it's the Bengals, it's the Jets, it's the Bills. What is that, 4? You look at the NFC, Eagles, who just got there. I would even consider, I know they're coming off, I'm probably forgetting a team. But, okay, we'll go division. We'll go each division here and give you the 6 teams that can legitimately compete for a Super Bowl. And I'm not talking about, like, the Lions. I think the Lions are like a dark horse team that could definitely get to the playoffs and maybe be a surprise. But I'm not saying I'm not going to put the Lions as like a legitimate Super Bowl contender this year. So here are like the legitimate teams that can win a Super Bowl. You got the Bills, you got the Jets, and the AFC East. Okay, you look at the AFC North. It's the Bengals. Maybe the Ravens, but Lamar Jackson, the injuries have been an issue. He doesn't have much playoff success. I would put the Ravens just on the outside. If you're getting a healthy Lamar Jackson who's on a roll, you could definitely put the Ravens in that category. But to be safe, I'm going to put them out for right now. You go with the AFC South, there's really nobody. Maybe next year you could put that Jaguars in that conference. Maybe you could put, Jaguars are a playoff team. I don't know if they're a Super Bowl threat. Then it's the Chiefs. So that's like 4 teams there. You go to the NFC, and it's tough because you got the Eagles, that's like a 5th. The Giants have done, Giants and Cowboys are playoff teams. They're not Super Bowl content. I don't think the Cowboys are going to win a Super Bowl. They've got to get there first before I think any of us. So that's like 5. The NFC North, again, Vikings, no. I wouldn't say the Lions just yet. NFC South is going to be the worst division in all of football. You go to the West, the NFC West, and you got about the Niners. So those are about your 6 legit Super Bowl teams. Niners in the AFC, Niners and Eagles in the NFC, and your 4 in the AFC are the Chiefs, Bengals, Jets, and Bills. That to me, and you look at the quarterbacks. Josh Allen, Aaron Rodgers, Joe Burrow, Patrick Mahomes, Jalen Hurts. San Francisco is a little different. But when you've got playmakers like Christian McCaffrey and not Blake Bortles. I don't know why I was going to say Blake Bortles. Deebo Samuel and Brandon Ayuk and George Kittle, and you've got that defense there, and you've got the offensive mastermind that is Kyle Shanahan. You don't need an excellent quarterback to get you over the top. So the Niners are a little bit of an exception, but you're looking at, 5 quarterbacks there out of that list. And if you want to throw Lamar Jackson in there, you can too. You're looking at 4 to 5 quarterbacks that are legitimate top 5, top 7 in the NFL, and the Jets have that. So what makes the Jets different? What makes the Jets different from the rest of this? I don't know. I don't get it. Again, I understand the media doesn't like Rodgers. I get that, but it's so biased towards these other it's crazy how the media is so against the Jets. It's like they're so it's crazy. Anyway, so yeah, I just want to get that off my chest. But the Jets were 6-3 last year with Zach Wilson. They were 6-3. You throw Aaron Rodgers on the Jets last year at 6-3, and I know we've talked about this so much time. You put Daniel Jones on the Jets last year at 6-3. They're probably winning 9-10 games again into the playoffs. Winning 7 games with Joe Flacco, Chris Streveler, Zach Wilson, and Mike White is pretty impressive. I will tell you that. Throw a quarterback in there, you're looking at 11, 12 wins this year. That's how I see it. Again, I'm not trying to touch the money. I'm not trying to get too cocky. I don't want to sound cocky. But I don't want to sound cocky, but I also don't think it's fair to what the media has been putting out there so far about the Jets. I don't think it's fair. And I think it's unfair the way they've portrayed the Aaron Rodgers trade and all that stuff so far. When for months they were talking about how the Jets have to get Rodgers. Now they have him, and there's still criticism. It doesn't make any sense. So, again, just go out there and prove it. I say the biggest thing. You go out there and win week 1 on Monday night, prove to the NFL world that you're legit. That's all you need. Again, it's one game, but you win that, then you win. You continue to stack up wins, and you got to shut up the critics. That's mainly what it is. At the end of the day, that's what these people get. That's why these people, they're going to, there's going to be criticism all over the place. In the entire year. If the Jets go 12-5 and then win the division, there's going to be people that are going to criticize Aaron Rodgers for the recent, playoff losses at home in Lambeau. So, there's always going to be that. It's always going to happen. Anyway, so we now move on here. From football here, we talk a little about basketball. So, obviously the Nuggets and the Lakers series wrapped up. You now hear that LeBron James might have to get surgery. Which is, unfortunate for him. Obviously, we'll see if he misses any time next season. But, there are some more rumors. There's going to be rumors all off season, really all summer, about what exactly, LeBron's going to do, whether or not he stays with L.A. or goes elsewhere, retires. I think he's going to stay in L.A. I don't think he's going to retire. I don't think he's going to go to a different team. I think he's better off doing that. I don't see why he's going to move. I think he stays in L.A., stays put there, and you kind of see what happens after that. But once Bronny James comes out, and obviously the goal to play with him. But you heard sources that he's gonna fill out the rest of his 2 years. So the NBA Finals start up on June 1st. As Nikola Jokic and Jamal Murray of the Denver Nuggets await the Celtics and the Heat. And for this entire series, over the past couple days, prior to these 2 wins by Boston, there was a lot of people, including myself, that were kind of counting the Celtics out. It got ugly. They were down 3-0. They were obviously coming off of a horrible, horrible loss in Game 3 where they lost 128-102. And again, you dropped the first 2 games at home. That's bad. But the 2 games were close. You lost by 7 in Game 1 where you actually blew the lead. And then you lost by 6 in Game 2. Then to go out there in Game 3 on the road and just show no signs of life, losing by 26, is where a lot of people kind of were like, yeah, it's over. You lose by 26 against the Heat in Game 3. You hear all the rumors that the players have lost trust in Joe Mazzulla, the head coach. And once you hear that, it's almost like, yeah, this series is over. You can't possibly win a series not having any trust in your head coach. You just can't do that. Then you hear before Game 4, in Boston or in Miami that, Jaylen Brown and Marcus Smart, I think both said it, don't let us win a game. Because if you let us win a game, we're going to come back and we're going to take this thing to 7 and we're going to win it in 7. So game 4 comes around, Celtics win 116-99. And look, sweeping a series is hard. It is. To sweep a series is not easy. There's always, most of the time, down 3-0. You saw it last night with the Dallas Star, Joe Pavelski getting the game winner against Vegas. They'll go back to Vegas now for Game 5, and they'll see if they can obviously pull another one out and get back to Game 6 in Dallas and make the series interesting. But, Dallas is most likely still out of it. Series is now 3-1. They're not quite back in it. You've got a whole just... It's a mount. It's a hike. It is hard to come back from down 3-0. But a lot of times you see teams win like Game 4. They'll win it. You saw Toronto do it against Florida in the second round of the playoffs where they won Game 4 and then Florida went back to Toronto and won Game 5. And they win in Game 5. And it's like, that fourth game. You see it a ton. Sweeping's not easy. Now, this situation, though, it's a little different. Because they win Game 4 pretty commandingly, 17-point win, 116-99, and they head back to Boston, down 3-1. And then last night comes around, and they win again. And they win again commandingly, 110-97. The last 2 games combined, the Boston Celtics have beat the Heat by a combined 30 points. The last 2 games have been combined 30-point victories for the Celtics. And the Heat have not played anywhere close to the team that they were in the first couple games. 123-116 victory, 111-105 victory, 128-102 victory. And you hear Jimmy Butler's comments in his post-game press conference, about what they were doing wrong. And Butler did go on to say, that they'll win Game 6, and he basically guaranteed a Game 6 victory. A lot of pressure is now on Miami and Eric Spoelstra to get this group back to what they were doing in the first 3 games and find a way to win Game 6. Because I truly believe tomorrow night, in a way, and this probably isn't the right way to word it, but I'm just going to word it anyway and kind of describe what I'm trying to say. Tomorrow night is almost like the Heat's Game 7. Even if they lose tomorrow night, you still got Monday night, which will be Game 7 back in Boston. But that right there is what separates it for me. The back in Boston part. If they go on the road where they looked horrible in Game 3, they won Game 4 on the road, but if they win Game 5 or 6 on the road, against Miami, and if it's another 10, 15-point victory, the Heat have all the pressure in the world going into Game 7. They've already got to start to feel the pressure because you can't lose Game 6 in your own building. You can't do that. You lose Game 6 in your own building and you get it back to a 7-game series, or you get it to 7 games, or the 7th game, now you're really pressing, and now you're really nervous, and now you're really worried because now you got to go Game 7 on the road in Boston after losing Game 6 in your own building where you had an opportunity to close it out. You had an opportunity to close it out 2 games ago, and you couldn't do it. You had 3 chances to close it out, and you couldn't do it. So tomorrow night, to me, is ultimately the deciding factor in the series. If Boston wins tomorrow night, I think they win the series. Obviously, if the Heat win, the series is over anyway. So tomorrow night's huge. It is pivotal for so many reasons. And I really believe that the Heat have got to feel a lot of pressure, especially Jimmy Butler. He kind of trolled them a little bit after Game 3. Some of the things that were said, they touched the money a little bit. I think they got a little cocky. And now you look at it, you're like, all right, we still got 2 games to win, but you can't. The Heat, there's no way. The Heat, you cannot possibly take a plane back to Boston. You just got to win in Miami and stay in Miami. That's really what you got to do. You lose tomorrow night, Game 7 in Boston is going to be really, really tough for Miami, especially with the way they played the past 2 games. So you hear Butler's comments about that and also about kind of what has gone wrong for Miami in the past couple games. And really, to be honest with you, he was spot on with what he was saying. And rightfully so. But I looked at the numbers, and I kind of crunched the numbers a little bit. I crunched the numbers a little bit from games 1 through 3 and in games 5 and 6 for Miami. You could clearly tell watching the game, and I obviously, saw the highlights and stuff, but watching the game and in what Jimmy Butler said in his press conference, you really could tell what has happened to Miami. Yeah, Boston start to shoot a lot better and all that, but really what it's been the missed shots for the Heat. They're not shooting nearly at a higher rate. It hasn't been turnovers. It necessarily hasn't been bad shot selection. It's just been they're missing shots that they were making in the first 3 games. They aren't making them now. And a lot of those missed shots, transition opportunities for Boston, the Heat not getting back on defense is the reason why they've lost the last 2 games by a combined 30 points. And those missed shots are the reason why they've scored under 100 points in the last 2 games. 116-99, 110-97. You can't put up 97, 98 points. You can't score in the 90s and expect to beat the Boston Celtics. I mean, look how it went in games 1 and games 2. They had to put up 123 in game 1 to get the job done. Right? Scoring 90 is not going to get the job done against Boston. It might have got the job done against the Knicks, not against Boston. So look at how the Heat shot games 1 and 3. So in game 1, they went 46 of 85 from the floor, 54.1%. They shot 16 of 31 from 3. That's good for 51.6%. In game 2, again, 123-116 win. Game 2, the Heat shot 42 of 92 from the floor. That's 45.7%. 9 of 26 from 3. That's 34.6%. So an off night 3, but still near the 50s. An off night together shooting, but they still won 111-105, and their defense was solid enough to get the job done. You go to game 3. 46 of 81, 56.8%, 19 of 35, 54.3% from the floor. Their best shooting night of the series, 128-102 victory. Since that point, they've cooled off. So you look at the totals from games 1 through 3. The Heat shot a total 134 for 258 from the floor, which is good for 51.9%, and 44 for 92, which is good for 47.8% from 3. Those numbers right there are going to get the job done. Above 50% from the floor, in the 40s from 3, that's going to get it done for this Heat team, especially a team that, has, Duncan Robinson, guys like that have been big 3-point shooters for them. And if they get hot, that's huge. And they got hot in games 1 through 3. They have in the past 2 games. So you look at now you look at the Heat in games 4 and 5, these past 2 losses. In game 4, they shot 34 for 78 from the floor. That's 43.6%. Game 5, 8 of 32 from the floor, 25%. Or from 3, that was 25%. So they shoot 43.6% in game 4 from the floor, 25% from 3. That's bad. You go to game 5 last night, 40 of 78, 51.3%, 9 of 23, 39.1%. So 51.3% from the floor, 39.1% from 3. You could clearly tell those numbers are worse. Now you go to the totals in the last 2 games. 74 for 156, 47.4% from the floor. 17 of 55, that's 30.9% from 3. So compare the numbers. You go games 1 through 3. They shot 51.9% from the floor in games 1, 2, 3. The last 2 games, 47.4%. You go to 3-point percentage. They shot 47.8% the last 2 games from 3. In games 1 through 3, they shot 47.8% from 3. The last 2 games, all the way down to 30.9% from 3. The Heat have not made shots in the last 2 games, under 100 points in the last 2 games. Defensively has not been good because of those missed shots and the opportunities Boston's getting on the offensive end. They've got to clean it up. Huge Game 6 tomorrow. Personally, I think if Boston wins, they win the series. And obviously, if Heat win, they close it out. So, big Game 6 coming up tomorrow night, 8:30 TNT. Boston early, 2.5-point favorites going into tomorrow night's game. So, we'll see how that plays out. But, yeah, it's crazy how cold the Heat have gotten, especially from three. Something that was really working for them in the first couple games. I mean, they were almost shooting 50% from three, all the way to get down to 30% the last two games. It's really been, it's really so far it's been like there's been two different series, and now these next two games are going to be, their own different series in terms of when you look at the numbers and how things have really changed. All right, so we look here at the some of the games today in baseball. So you got the Yankees-Padres tonight on the dreaded Apple TV Plus channel. So that's 7 to 5 Eastern. Why is it on Apple TV Plus? I don't know. It's frustrating for many reasons. I hate this whole. I hate this whole just this stupid streaming service stuff is ridiculous. It really is. I can't stand it. So that's tonight, 7 to 5, Apple TV Plus. You got Yankees, Padres, Yankees 30-22, Padres 23-27. Yankees looking to bounce back after two tough losses against Baltimore. The Padres got Joe Musgrove on the mound. He's 1-2 with a 6.75 ERA. And the Yankees got Randy Vasquez on the mound. He is making his MLB debut today. Over-under set at 9.5. You also got the Mets, who salvaged the final game of the three-game set last night against the Cubs. They'll look to bounce back and see if they can win the series against the Rockies. They are 26-25. Rockies are 22-29. Mets got Max Scherzer on the mound. He's 3-2 with a 4.01 ERA. And the Rockies have Connor Siebold, I believe it is, on the mound tonight. Let me get the numbers up here. You got Connor Siebold on the mound tonight. He's 1-1 with a 5.97 ERA for the Rockies. Over-under set at 11.5. Coors Field, balls are flying. Scherzer, we'll see how he does. Siebold has not been very good this year, so we'll see if the Mets can extend their, get a 2-game win streak going after salvaging last night's win, and hopefully the Yankees can find a way to bounce back, because they've got to find a way. They've got to bounce back. Two really just frustrating losses. Two losses that you easily could say should have been wins. Yankees are set up pretty nicely, though, this series. Other than, you got Vasquez going tonight. If he can give you a little bit of length, I think you'll be, we'll see how long he goes, what he does, making his MLB debut. But you got him tonight. Tomorrow night you'll have Sevy, and on Sunday you'll have Cole versus Yu Darvish, which is going to be an awesome pitching matchup on Sunday. Tomorrow you'll have Sevy and Waka. Tonight is obviously Vasquez and Musgrove. So, we'll see. The Yankees are getting, on paper, reality, they're not getting Snell. Obviously, I believe Snell pitched the National Series. I think it was either Game 2 or the final game of that series that Snell pitched. Snell's all right. Snell's not bad. He's solid. But Waka pitched almost a no-hitter. I think it might have been his last. Was it his last time? Or two outings ago, I think it was. I think 2 outings ago it was where he almost pitched a no-hitter. So you got him going tomorrow, and then you got Darvish. Musgrove hasn't been good, but reality on paper, those are supposed to be like their 3 big pitchers. But Musgrove's been bad after starting the year on the IL. So we'll see how all that plays out. We'll see if the Yankees can find a way to take 2 or 3. And then after that, you head to Seattle, and that's it. That's May. That's May for you. And then they open up June in LA against the Dodgers. So big couple series coming up here for the New York Yankees. So that'll do it for another podcast here today. Obviously, another packed one in the books, talking all things Yankees, Mets, basketball, a little football as well. Enjoy your Memorial Day weekend. Whatever you're doing, enjoy it. I will be back here on Memorial Day talking all things sports, recapping kind of everything that went on during the weekend. I also plan on maybe incorporating a live stream coming up here within the next couple days, so stay tuned. A lot more content coming your way. I'll have an In the Trench with Gang Green podcast as well out today, talking about the Cardinals getting rid of DeAndre Hopkins, and I'll be recapping Flight 2023 Ascension Episode 2, which dropped last night. Finished watching that today. So I'll recap that episode, also talk to DeAndre Hopkins, which I believe will be episode 120 of my Jets podcast that I do. So definitely go check that out. Really appreciate all the support. So as always, hope you enjoyed it. Enjoy your weekend. I will see you all back here on Memorial Day on Monday. Enjoy your weekend. As always, hope you enjoyed it. And thanks for watching.